morning, and I want to welcome everyone, and in particular our spectacular guest, Tamara Rojo of English National Ballet. This is our continuing Global Conversation series, and this is round 2 where we talk to executive and artistic directors of companies large and small about some of the challenges they're facing, their background in ballet, where they want to take their company, and in the case of Ms. Rojo, also her thoughts on where the government should be in terms of funding the arts. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So we are going to hop right in, and I'm going to start with where we are now and work our way backwards. So tell us where the company is at in terms of being able to rehearse together, whether you've opened back up again, and what it's going to look like for you in the next few months, you think. Of course, it can go backwards.
So when the government gave the guidance to stop gathering, we sent all our dancers home. We were a week away from the premiere of Creature, the new full-length ballet by Akram Khan. He had created for us Giselle, and this was the second big production that he was doing for us. It was inspired by Prometheus and by Frankenstein. We were very excited, so we were only a week away, but we had to send all our dancers home. Since then, we've had the opportunity to use something called Job Retention Scheme here in the UK. That means that the government assists the payment of the workforce. So it was put in place to avoid big redundancies. So 87% of our workforce, and that includes all the dancers, have been furloughed. We've also had to ask them to accept 20% pay cuts for those above £30,000 a year, and higher reductions for the highest paid. And we've obviously lost all our income straight away. We had also a sold out run of Swan Lake in the Run at the Royal Albert Hall. That's a 5,000 seat venue. So that was a big revenue for us. We were going to Paris with Giselle soon. And our business model is one that only about 30% of our total income comes from government. The rest is about selling tickets, box office, and fundraising. So it's quite a big gap to fill once you don't have performances or opportunities to fundraise.
It sounds similar to the United States. Have you gotten any guidance from the government on when you'll be able to go back into the studio?
So as you mentioned, I was asked by the British government to be part of the task force that is given that precise responsibility. It is obviously a huge honor, but it's certainly a great responsibility. And it's a task force made of 8 people, and then underneath there's 8 working groups. Each working group has a specialty, whether that is tourism, or that is big events, or all the aspects of the creative industries. And over the last 4 weeks, we've been meeting once a week, revising those guidance. And you have to understand they have to work for things as diverse as Brighton Pier, or the London Eye, or just big venues, small venues, hotels, transport. So there is quite a lot to go through, but it seems that we will be able to reopen from about the 4th of July. So that's the plan at the moment, is to try and return to the studios in the week of the 6th of July to start doing class in small groups.
Has there been any estimate of, we're going to be interviewing a academic, Professor Zanny Voss at SMU Data Arts. They predicted that in the United States, that if performances were canceled through October, and now many are being canceled through the end of the year, that the impact would be approximately, I believe, $68 billion. And now companies are canceling through the end of the year, plus the Nutcracker. Are there any similar statistics about, and I'm assuming this is your task force is looking at the entire United Kingdom, not just Britain.
Yesterday, the creative industries, and I am a member of their board, published research from Oxford University. In normal times, the creative industries bring to the UK economy 111 billion. And they actually grow more than any other sector in the UK, and they employ 2 million people. So they are a very important part of the UK industries and the UK economy, really, really very important. And it seems from this study that so far, the creative industries would have lost about 70 billion already of the 111 billion, and that there will be job loss once these job retention schemes come to an end in October of about 400,000 people. And you have to put that into the size of the UK economy and the size of the UK population. It's a very big percentage of people that are going to be losing their jobs.
Yeah, I'm quite surprising given the figures we'd heard about the United States. Let's flip back a little bit to what your average day looks like now. I mean, your world has probably been turned upside down, and this series is focused really on leadership qualities and skills. Who are you talking to, and what are the messages you get out? Because you probably got so many constituencies that really want to hear from you.
So from the very first day, I was very concerned of keeping in touch with our dancers, keeping in touch with our audiences, supporting them through this period. So from the very first day, I started, for example, teaching class from my kitchen. And I did this because I know how important that is, not just for fitness or for training, but emotionally. I know that the daily class is a ceremony for dancers, a ceremony of finding themselves. And that I needed to be able to give them that however I could. So that was the first thing we started to do. And in English National Ballet, we support our local communities, and we do a lot of work for elderly people. So we continue to share also classes for dancers with Parkinson's or our elderly community. We have a youth company that is made of school children that do ballet once a week. So we continue to support them as well with talks and with Zoom meetings. And we also wanted to share our archive performances for free, and we have been doing that every Wednesday. And it's been overwhelming, the response, to see how that instinct was right, and that we had to reach out and we had to support. And it's hundreds of thousands of people that have been taking those classes from all over the world.
Really?
Yes, really. Honestly, I'll send you the data, because I think the first class is over 250,000 people that has done it now, because they stay there. We have 40 classes for professionals, and they stay in our website there for free. And just the messages, from Mexico, Brazil, Australia, Singapore, Spain, anywhere in the world, really, where there is a dancer, we receive, messages of encouragement. And it's really, really wonderful.
That's fantastic. Although 250,000 people in your kitchen, it must get a little bit crowded.
Yes. Happily, I wasn't aware of them when I was teaching.
It's interesting because one of the things that you said in one of the wonderful interviews I read with you said that you dance to disappear. And this is not an opportunity to disappear, but it is an opportunity, I think, to create community in a very new way that maybe wasn't there before.
Indeed.
And talk a little bit more about, I know that you physically moved the company studio offices to Canning Town, and that you took Akram Khan's extraordinary work about World War I and put it in Glastonbury. Can you talk a little bit about that, moving in, even before the pandemic, your idea of moving into the community?
Well, it was inspired by the original vision of English National Ballet. And I think for when English National Ballet it was created 70 years ago, this vision is spectacular. And what it says is that we are here to bring the best ballet to the widest possible audience, wherever they are, whatever their means. And it's something that we hold very dear. And that means that we give thousands of tickets for as little as 12 or 8 pounds every year, that we invest a huge amount of our resources, time, and energy in reaching out to the communities. And like you say, we used to be based in Kensington. It was a building that was not fit for purpose anymore. We needed to move. And we actively choose to move to an area called Canning Town in Tower Hamlets, which is one of the most in needs areas in London, and actually has been one of the worst affected by COVID. So we knew that there was more opportunity there where we could make an impact, a social impact with our dance, but also by reaching to school children, by reaching to local communities. And the building itself, we designed it as a transparent house. We wanted it to be see-through. We wanted people from the tube station to look up and see dancers training, and take out some of that mistake and some of that perception that it is an elitist art form. It certainly isn't. It's just a language, and it's how you choose to use that language. And part of that obviously has to be reflected in the vision, the artistic vision, and the collaborators you bring. And like you know, I was one of the first companies that actively sought out female voices on their stage. We did 2 big programs of female choreography, but we also commissioned 37 works in 8 years of film for the youth company, for our children shows of women. So we've done more than 40 works now of women choreographers.
I did not realize, I mean, everybody knows about She Says, everybody knows about Broken Wings, but what you're telling me is that you did it at different levels for different audiences.
Exactly, yeah. In every activity and every aspect of our work, we engage with female voices. And the same thing was about bringing in Akram Khan. I mean, the Bangladeshi community, the Asian community in London and in the United Kingdom is very important part of the culture of this country. And Akram himself is an extraordinary artist that managed to mix his origins and that traditional kata dance with the contemporary style of London. And I thought that's what we needed, that we needed that kind of artist and that kind of voice to widen our audience and to reach out. And first I invited him to do a short piece for our 100th anniversary program around the First World War. And that was Dust. And it was just an enormous success, but more importantly, a fantastic creative collaboration. And the next thing is I wanted to revisit Giselle in a different context. I've always felt that the original intention had been lost, that it had become so bucolic and romanticized, and that it was now cute, and that I didn't believe the deep meaning of that ballet was being honored, and that it needed someone new and to put it in a different context so that we could once again find it, that we could remember what was the intention.
So by actually creating something new and daring and overturning a lot of stereotypes, you're actually returning to the core central message and the drive of the ballet.
That's what I was trying to do. And in fact, we programmed both of them in the same season. So we did Akram's Giselle first, and then a few months later, we did classical Giselle, our version, which is by Mary Skipping. And the journey of exploration for the new Giselle was so deep for every character that by the time we came to the traditional Giselle, we were different as a company. And our audiences had a different understanding because we have given it so much context. It was a new Giselle also.
And that actually to me might be a great definition of art, and like, you know, you look at Cubism and it makes you look at classicism differently, right?
Exactly.
You also mentioned something in a previous interview, which I thought was incredibly quietly revolutionary. You said that you wanted your dancers to start thinking, which also for women is unusual in ballet, and that if every single performance was the same, they were doing it wrong, that you wanted them to innovate and improvise in every single role, in every single performance. I've never heard that before. And the more I thought about it, I was sitting there wandering around the house today going, that's incredible. And that's revolutionary, but it's also sort of, every night's going to be, every night you won't know what's going to happen. You as artistic director won't be able to anticipate exactly what's going to happen. So that's a huge risk for you in some ways.
but I'm not there to control anything. That's not my role. My role is to enable. And I think, I, as an artist, I really struggled through quite a big part of my career from being requested to imitate the past. I was constantly told, this is how we did it, and this is how so-and-so did it. And I was thinking, then what is the point of me doing it? I'm a different person. I have a different life. I have a different perspective. I have a voice. If an artist is not entitled to talk, to use his voice, then what are we doing here? And I think that is my biggest fight. Actually, it is a fight with some more traditionalist areas of the ballet world. I understand tradition. I love tradition. I am a real researcher. I've done, a whole doctorate around history of ballet. I love it, but I love it without revering it and without being afraid of changing it. Because when you actually really look back, ballet is about change. It's about constant reinvention. That's what we are. We are some of the most reinventing and creative artists in the world. And the point is that you ought to give that knowledge to the new generation and then set them free so that they take it forward.
That's a very different conception of ballet. I will say the first time I met you at Works in Process at the Guggenheim, Akram Khan was being interviewed, and the person that brought me, I miss desperately, Patricia Barreto from the Harris Theater in Chicago. I just want to take a moment and say how much I miss her. But I brought as guests Stella Brera-Radetzky, Isabel Boylston, Lauren Post, and Gemma Bond. And I looked down the line of these beautiful women watching, even the excerpts. Every single one of them, the hair was standing up on their arms and the back of their neck, and they were almost shaking. They were so excited. And when the portion which showed Myrta was done, their eyebrows went up, they were flushed, and they were going, oh my God, I want to dance that. I want to dance that so much. And I think the gift is not just to the audiences, but it's to the ballerinas, I think in that moment, they thought of themselves differently and they thought of ballet differently. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, and it makes me very happy if that happened like that, because it's not always easy to challenge an artist to change things. Change is really difficult, and most of our lives we're being trained not to change. We're being trained by telling us this is how it should be done, and repeat it again and do it again in this way. And even for my dancers, I know the first years, especially for those already established and that they had a very successful career behind them of doing what they were told, it was quite difficult for them. It wasn't just a pleasure. And I recognize that I was pushing them out of their comfort zone. But I also have seen what they have achieved now. And it gives me, now I feel that emotion and that goosebumps, just thinking how they are now free on the stage. And now, like I said, every show is special. And so it should be. And the audience needs to feel that if they miss one show of English National Ballet, they miss something really special, because the next show is not going to be the same.
It's not going to be the same, right? And that's why I will go back to companies I really care about and watch 3, 4, 5 performances, because it is done well. It is different every night. I want to shift a little bit to talk about more of you transitioning from ballet to leadership. I know you're still dancing. What skills do you think were required other than a vision and determination? And who's your boss? Who do you report to other than the taxpayers?
Yes, first and foremost, the taxpayers and the audience. I think we are there to serve the audience, but we do have a board of directors, so they are my boss. And I also have a wonderful trio. We are a trio of directors. Is Patrick Harrison and Grace Chan, the executive director and the CEO. And it is the three of us that make decisions together. And it's just great. We're a great team. We're very different people, all of us. But I love that we all can trust each other, and that we all know that even when we disagree, we all want the best. So we're all trying to achieve what is best for the company. In terms of what makes a good director, I think different companies need different things. And I think I was the right director for English National Ballet at this time. And that is partly because I was a dancer of English National Ballet, because I had done it myself. I toured the country. I knew what I was coming to. I knew what we were here to do. I knew the history, and I knew what we could be. And so that was quite important for me. And the process of becoming a director in England, every publicly funded organization has to put director roles out for competition. You cannot choose a director. You have to open it up. And people have to apply, and you have to present a program. I had to present a 5-year plan. And that 5-year plan not only had to be artistic, but it had to make financial sense. And at that point, English National Ballet was not in the best moment. And there were a lot of questions because of the 2008 crisis. It was 2012 when I became artistic director. So the process was just the recovery of the crisis. There was a lot of questioning about funding the arts, a lot of questioning about funding ballet specifically. So I knew that the company wasn't in a secure position, and that we had to make the case, because this is the company that tours, this is the company that brings ballet to audiences around the United Kingdom. It was also the company that was always groundbreaking, that didn't carry this big kind of tradition. It didn't have a home, a theater, so it was mobile, it was dynamic, and I knew it could change quickly. So that's why I think that when you consider being a director, it's not the role, it's the company that is important. Is it the company for you? And what can you bring to that company? And are you in the right time? And do you have the skills? And so you also have to take time, if you're thinking of becoming a director, to start preparing ahead of time so that you gain those skills.
One of my objections as an ex-employment law attorney is to the hiring process in the United States and in many other places for companies. It's the reverse of transparent. The job is not, opened up. So you don't know what qualities are being looked for. You don't know what the interview process is like, and you don't know the decision-making basis for what the ultimate decision is. A book recently came out that's identified that when somebody talks about a genius, there's a 90% chance they're going to be talking about a man. And if you're considered a genius, then the normal interviewing process may not apply, it may go south. Talk to me a little bit post-pandemic about what would make a better ballet world, what you could do, what needs to be done, what Dance Data Project with our small little corner of the world can do. I mean, you've led the way in so many ways, in ways I didn't think of. Take us 5-10 years out to a healthier, better world of classical dance.
That's a very difficult question. And I wish I had a very easy answer for that. I have to say that I don't think it's going to be what we had, and that will be bad and good. And I think, as always, I believe this art form is always the best at adapting. We have seen it through revolutions, we have seen it through wars, and it always reinvents itself for the better. I think in this case, digital will no longer be just a marketing tool. It is going to have to be part of how you view your whole season. And that means that you now have a far more international audience, and that it is, a much more diverse, potentially, audience, which is also a very good thing for our art form. And that this is an opportunity to really take a minute to reflect. Are we the art form for the masses? Because actually, in terms of the art form itself, it is perfect to adapt to both live and digital. We are a visual art form. the dancers look good on camera, we can really commit to creating a different kind of work for digital. It's not a question of recording a normal performance. That can happen, but we have to also consider that there is now the opportunity to do a different kind of work that is just to exist in digital capacity. And what is that work? And just recognizing that the audience is different, is young, is diverse, is international. And then what is it that we want to say to them? And I think that is the big question that at least I am asking myself right now.
Although that could actually, I mean, with 250,000 people in your kitchen, that's a great opportunity. I'm going to turn to you just a little bit, do a few fun things.
Okay.
So let's assume post-pandemic you can travel. Where would you go?
I have to say Madrid, just to see my families and friends, because I really miss them.
And if you have a guilty pleasure, what is it?
The one thing I've got into actually is watching the Kardashians. I've heard about them for years. I've never seen them. I love those women. They are entrepreneurial, they are dynamic, they understand digital, they are like, go, go, go. I'm really inspired, I have to say.
We somehow have to get the Kardashians and you together, because that
I would love to.
That would be so much fun. So is Madrid your favorite city, or is that just because you've got family there?
I love Madrid. The vibe is amazing, but I love London too.
Yeah. So Broadway or West End? I think I know the answer.
West End. It has to be West End.
Right. Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
Okay. Your favorite ballet?
Ooh, I can't choose one. Any Kenneth Macmillan and Matt Seck. Those two great masters.
Interesting. Okay. Romantic or pancake tutu?
Neither. I don't understand tutus as a concept.
And there's the baby. We can hear the baby. We'll probably wrap this up. So for our viewers, I just had a grandson. Last little bit of advice for a young woman who might want to become an artistic director. Not everybody's going to be a prima ballerina. Is there another pathway in?
Oh, yes. And many of the great promoters, producers, and directors were not star ballet dancers. That's not a quality that you actually need at all. That's totally irrelevant, in fact. I will say, do your research. Really study the history of your art form. Be cultured, and then think what you want to say. And then think, where do you want to say it?
Interesting. So Tamara Rojo, thank you so much. It's been such an honor. It's lovely to see you again. Let's catch up again off in the future when we can redo this and hear about all your plans and how you're going to move the art form forward. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you very much. And thank you for everything you have been doing. Thank you.